Let's see if this thing can still outrun Guido the Killer Pimp. I think so. Hello again, everyone. It's Blake with Y2K. Welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk to you about why I bought a Porsche 928. It's really cold in Florida today. I think it's like 38 degrees. And I think some parts super north of us, about an hour north, are going to get some snow. So yeah, we're sitting in the car. It doesn't have AC, but the heater works great. But let's go ahead and fire it up. And as you notice, it's on the right in a 928, not on the left. And take it for a drive and just kind of talk about why I bought a 928. Exit this little area first. Little overflow boat parking yard. Of course, it's empty right now, especially when it's this cold. But in the panhandle of Florida where I am, it does get quite nippy. And we're going to be below freezing tonight, so we're going to have to trickle the faucets and do all the things one must do when your home is not built for these kind of temperatures. Including, what was the other thing? Draining the lawn pump. Yes, draining the lawn pump. It's another thing on my to-do list today once we're done shooting this video. But as you can tell, it's very windy. Very windy, white capping, but a good day for the 928 to drive around. It's German, and it's built very well. So it can handle these temperatures. I think it gets pretty cold in Germany, so this is a piece of cake for this car. But yeah, the 928. So this is a 1984 928S. It's in, I don't know how to pronounce this correctly, I'm going to butcher it, but I think it's rock quartz metallic, which is like a, looks more brown to me, but it's like a smoke quartz gray, essentially. And it's got a brown interior, which I'm a big fan of this kind of combo. I don't know if the Risky Business car was this color or not, but it was damn close. So, and that kind of leads into the first reason why I bought a 928. And specifically like this earlier body style 928. And that is because of movies. Growing up, I watched a lot of 80s movies. I was born in 86. And, you know, my brother and sister are older than me, quite a bit older than me. So they were 80s kids. And they watched a lot of those movies. So that's how I got exposed. Oh, palm tree in the road. So that's how I got exposed to the 928. Risky Business was probably the first movie I saw with a 928. The iconic scene where Tom Cruise, his was stick, and he takes it out of gear on accident without the parking brake on, and then it rolls onto the dock, and he thinks it's okay, and then the dock collapses, and it's a pretty hefty repair bill that he has to go through and run a brothel essentially to make the money back to pay for his dad's car to get fixed, so he doesn't understand what happened. And they did a bunch of joy rides, and it was a great chase scene where the pimp was chasing him in a big like Lincoln or a Cadillac, and he says, "I think I can take him," and he looks over to his passenger, and you know, he does take him, and he says at the very end, "Porsche, there is no substitute." And that was probably the first thing I'd seen, and I asked my brother what this car was, because he likes cars like me, not quite as much. He's more of a sports fanatic, but he did like cars, and he told me about what the 928 was. And he told me in the mid 80s my father had first he had 84 Corvette, white on red, brand new when they first came out. He had that for about a year. He said the car was a piece of junk, which maybe is true, but maybe that's just what they were. That's typical 80s GM technology. I think they got a lot better after the first gen. And then he had a 86 560 SL red on tan. He loved that car. He had it for like 5 years. And my brother was always, you know, trying to persuade him to one-up his vehicle purchases, as one would as a teenager. and he was trying to get my dad to buy a 928, and that's how my brother, you know, knew what these were. And I think those movies impacted him just like they've impacted me. But he really wanted him to get one. He did not end up getting one. I think he also tried to make him buy an NSX when they first came out. That did not happen either. We quickly became a Jeep Cherokee family after that. And then my dad had a couple, maybe 2 or 3, I think he had 3 911s when I was in my teenage years, which were great. He always listened to his kids, and if they liked something, he would usually buy it and let us all enjoy it. That was kind of our way of having it without owning it. So anyways, the movies were a big thing. Weird Science was another movie that had the 928. It's one of my favorite movies as well. And Scarface was another movie that had 928. When he says, you know, put the machine guns and the scanners on it, 40 grand isn't a big deal. Then he just, you know, proceeds to have his right-hand man take care of the purchase, because, you know, he's just too busy making money to have to deal with actual paperwork of buying a vehicle. So a lot of great pop culture movies the 928 is in, and I think there's more. There's one I'm trying to think of right now that I can't quite remember, but it was kind of a pop icon vehicle. And so I always just wanted a 928. I also thought they looked cool. You know, that wasn't just like a standard 911, which are fairly common cars, although amazing cars. They are common. And every time I saw one, I just thought it was a really quirky, cool shape, but also a beautiful shape, and just extremely modern for the time it came out. I think the 78, 79 cars are the most pretty. This is an 84, which is really that same body, but it has the, I think they call these is it like the sewer cap or some kind of wheel? Basically, it's just a dish. Something to do with the sewer, I think, sewer caps, or something like that. I might not be quite right. I can't believe I didn't put this in the video, but one of my favorite things about this car is the headlights. I mean, I hope you can see that. That is just so cool. Technically a flak bow, I think, is what they call this in Germany, a flat nose. A lot of 911s, well, not a lot, they're rare, but they did do some of these kind of front ends on them as well. And the 968 kind of had a, not quite as flat, but a similar kind of thing. So that's one of my favorite features on the 928. And another reason why I bought one. These headlights are just very cool. It's like a German frog or something. I like it a lot. But, so yeah, I really wanted this shape. An 85 would be great because it has the 32 valve motor. This is only a 16 valve, and yeah, 82 valves per cylinder, that's right. So about 240 horsepower. And the later model cars, 85 and a half, I think, is the one that got like 300 horsepower, which is a lot more power than this. But at the end of the day, all these old cars really aren't that fast as what you would think they are, so it doesn't really bother me that much. I just wanted the shape. So I found this car, actually, older man had owned it for many years. It was in Southern California, then it was in Arizona, then I think he retired here. His name was Paul, and just a really nice older guy. And I actually, when I saw it, when he had it for sale, I did not buy it. I drove it, and it was automatic. And I really wanted to stick it. I thought he was asking too much for it. But funnily enough, how things happen, another local person had bought it, had it for maybe a year or two, and then he sold it. Oh, well, he put it on Facebook Marketplace, I should say. And when I saw it this time, when I thought about the story of the old man, and he really took great care of it, I said, maybe, even though it's automatic, maybe I should buy it. And I originally bought it to resell. I'm not very good at buying things to resell because I end up keeping them, and that's exactly what happened with this 928. I thought I wouldn't like the automatic, but once I got in it and started driving it, it kind of made sense. This really is more of like a 560 SL competitor. I think the Corvette would not be, that's more of a sports car. This is kind of, although it feels kind of like a Corvette with a big V8, but this is kind of more like the Panamera of the 80s. Smooth power, a lot of torque, and the automatic kind of suits it better. I think the 928 manual is probably the car you would want to own as an investment, but as one to use, frequently and take it kind of anywhere you want at any time. Automatic's probably the better choice. I've driven both. I've driven an S4, and there's just cops everywhere today, although we're not really going that fast. But I've driven both, and I can see why you would like either one. As an occasional car, the the manual is probably more fun, but as something people were using every day and just putzing around in, I think the automatic's probably the better choice. This is a 4-speed. The other one's had a 3-speed. I wouldn't get a 3-speed, I don't think. It's just not enough gears and kind of archaic. This is a Mercedes-Benz 4-speed. It was in pretty much every Mercedes they made in the 80s. And since it was made by Mercedes, they did a great job. Porsche, I'm sure they put their kind of tuning on it. But at the end of the day, it's a Mercedes transmission, which means it's easy to get parts. And they're pretty simple to, I wouldn't say simple to service, but it's a basic automatic transmission that everybody knows about, and they were in thousands and probably millions of cars back then. So the automatic actually isn't that bad. Would I like a manual? Probably. I would still pick a manual over the automatic, but at the end of the day, for the price I paid, and I got the shape, and I get to see it in the driveway, I think it made sense overall to get the automatic. Now, I've only put about 800 miles on this car. It does have 83,000 original miles. It has the original toolkit. It didn't come with any service paperwork, but we did do pretty much everything you could do. We did the brakes, we did all the belts minus the timing belt, and I know people are going to say, why didn't you do the timing belt? It's actually a non-interference timing belt from what I've seen, but I do have the timing belt in the water pump kit. We had just been, we had spent many days going through this whole car, and by the time we got to the timing belt and we took the cover off, it looked like it was in great shape, which I know doesn't mean anything because age is most important. But once I figured out it was non-interference based on everything I've seen, I didn't really feel like dealing with it, and we just kind of decided to push it off to another date. And I don't drive it that much, so it's just it's become kind of a car that I look at more than I drive. It gets hot in Florida and the AC doesn't work, so the winter is pretty much the only time I drive it, aka today when it's 38 degrees outside. It does still need some work. Transmission shifts kind of firm. It's kind of almost firmer when it's warm, and I don't know, based on my research, the vacuum modulator is probably the issue because it goes through all the gears, doesn't have any issues, and we serviced it, and all the fluid looks good. So that's probably it. I've got spare vacuum modulators. I've got, I've got the timing belt kit. I've got everything. I've even got a tester to test the transmission pressure, but I just don't drive it enough to really feel like dealing with it. The bottom line is when I get in it, it runs and it starts, and I can take it wherever I want to go for the most part. And that's in a nutshell. It's a driver quality 928. The paint, it's gotten worse. The rear end has a rounded bumper, and it appears to be susceptible to heat, so it has started to crack, which is a little bit frustrating. But it does mean at the end of the day, when I do go to drive it, I don't really worry about it at all, which is nice, because at the end of the day, when these cars, when they're too nice and they're older, you kind of start to think about things, you think about things twice before you start to drive them, and especially if they're worth a significant amount of money, you have to really kind of plan your day around it and make sure you're not risking things too much, which in this car is simply not the case. But at the same time, I just haven't driven it that much, and I'm not quite sure why. It's something when I get in it, I do kind of enjoy it, but at the end of the day, it does kind of feel like just like a big V8 American car with like better build quality. It's very stable. It's heavy. It does feel heavy. I don't know how heavy it is. It's probably 3,000 pounds. I'm just guessing. But yeah, it's not a very sporty car. It's more of a GT car. It's something a guy probably would have drove to work or, to a business meeting. He would have driven it every day and been on his cell phone closing some deals. This was a $40,000 car back in the day, which was not cheap. I'm not sure what that would be adjusted for inflation now, but it's probably over $100,000 for one of these today if they were still out and it was brand new. But yeah, that's kind of my nutshell story on why I bought one. I think I might sell it. I've kind of had my 2 years with it, and it is fun. I do want a DeLorean, so I've kind of got that in the back of my head that maybe I would swap it for that, or maybe I would just have one less car to maintain. I've got 8 cars, and how many of them are older? Let's see, pretty much everything but one. Well, I have 2 cars that are somewhat newer Toyotas. I have a 21 Land Cruiser I drive every day, and a 17 4Runner we keep out west at a little townhouse we have. So those are the cars that we know are always good. But the other 6 are older, and there's a couple BMWs my wife and I used to daily drive. Matter of fact, my wife still daily drives her 2012 X5M. I've got an 11 M3 that I did daily drive for a couple of years, and now it just kind of sits next to this 928. I really need a bigger garage, and that's in the plans one day. So, but I do have the room to do that. But yeah, this one, it might go, it might stay. I like the way it looks, I think, more than the experience of driving it. And maybe a manual one would kind of solve that problem, but I don't know, because the stick one was still kind of lazy. But usually these older Porsches, these front engine ones, to me, like 944 turbos and stuff, to me they drive okay, but I really like the way they look more than anything. But it is very comfortable, and I think on a road trip or something it would be great, assuming you get your AC fixed in this one, which doesn't work, or if you got your heater on a cold day, then you'll be just fine. So, but hope you enjoyed the video. Just wanted to I'm trying to do a video a week, and I probably shouldn't have said that, because that means that I might not end up doing it, but that's what I'm kind of attempting to do here. So this will be my 3rd video in 3 weeks, and we'll see what the next one ends up being. So here at the red light is a good time to say farewell to everyone, and have a great week. And if you liked what you saw, like the video, subscribe to the channel, whatever you wish to do. But have a great day. All right, bye-bye.